Hello, this is George with NS345. Welcome back to my Pro Tools mixing video series. This is video number 5. Today I'm going to focus on mixing vocals. This is what we have so far.
He's never been in love, he never had no broken heart.
One of the things that I talked about early on, I think it was video number 1, is the process that I use to mix. And I use stems. As you can see here, I have a drum stem, a bass stem, I have a acoustic guitar stem, an electric guitar stem, a lead guitar stem, a lead vocal stem, a BGV stem, and that's it. So it's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Basically, I'm taking all of the groups. For example, the drums, I'm sending the drums into a drum bus, which is an auxiliary track. The output of the drum tracks is drums. The input of the bus is drums. The output of the bus is drums, and it's got a lowercase s, and I use that so I can tell what's a stem and what's a normal bus. So the reason why I use stems is because it allows me greater control of the loudness. It allows me greater control of the mix. Rather than having to flip back and forth through the session, I'm able to just, within this small block here, control or audition all the different groups. So let me show you how I do that, just as a reminder. One thing that you need to do is when you set up your stems is make sure you group them. So they show up over here as a group. And you do that by hitting Command G. And then you create your group. Make sure the tracks you want are selected. So right now everything's muted. I'm not going to hear anything, but you'll see the audio coming through. Now I want to hear just the drums because this is a group. One way to ungroup one thing or to do something to a track that's part of a group without doing it to all is by holding Control and clicking. And that does it only to that one.
Who are we to say? Let me tell you a story about a guitar picker.
Okay. All right. So on my stems, in terms of processing, I have a tape plugin from Slate, which is this one. And I also have a Waves plugin called NLS, which is a plugin that emulates 3 types of different outboard desks or analog. You have an SSL, I believe EMI is the second one, and a Neve. And then the plugin has a drive button, a drive knob, and you can group all the different tracks if you were to put them on the individual tracks. Then you have your output level, and it's got some cool meters. But I use this plugin just to give the sound a bit of depth, a bit of warmth, and a bit of thickness. And it does that, and I'll show you how it does that. So I have that through my channels, and basically throughout the entire session, I'm mixing through these plugins. So I don't wait to the end to add them. I add them at the beginning so that for me, it actually makes mixing a lot easier. When I can hear this and, the tracks already sound bigger, sound better. And these plugins, I mainly use them for color. And sometimes I can use them to increase loudness. Okay, so I'm going to work on the vocal a little bit. I'm going to focus on the drums and the vocal, and I want to make sure that the balance between the drums and the vocal is good, and I can mix from that point on.
Let me tell you a story about a guitar picker. Let me tell you a story about a guitar picker. He's never been in love, he never had no broken heart.
I'm going to see what the tape does to it.
Let me tell you a story about a guitar picker. Let me tell you a story about a guitar picker. He's never never been in love, he never had no broken heart.
I'm having a bit of it's like memory issues or something. Anyways, I'm using the tape plugin here from Slate. If you notice, when I raise the input or the level of the audio going into the plugin, the output kind of closes and it balances the output so it's not so loud. So without it, it would sound like this. This is what it sounds like normally.
Let me tell you a story about a guitar.
Now I'm going to go up on this and nothing's going to happen. It's probably going to give it a bit of distortion, but it's going to be subtle.
Let me tell you a story about a guitar picker. He's never been in love, he never had no broken heart. And if you rack your brain and you still can't understand him, then you probably never will, 'cause your words are so far apart. Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing? Then you probably never will. And if you rack your brain and you still can't understand him, then you probably...
Definitely having some lag issues this morning or this day.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing?
Okay, focus on my meters here. Look at the peak number.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song?
So if you notice, it's peaking around 14 minus 14.6 dBFS. Now look at it without the plugin.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight?
So it does add a bit of gain. So one thing you can do is make sure you bring this output down.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town?
That sounds good to me. This plugin is very subtle, so don't think that it's not doing anything. I could hear it really well. It's smoothing out the vocal. It's making it a little bit more even for me, and it's making it sound a little bit warmer and a little bit thicker. Now I have the NLS engaged. Here we go.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around?
Now this one's important. Pay attention to the meter here.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight?
That sounds nice, but it's too loud now. Now I can just bring the fader down.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna...
I'd rather have the control here on the fader. Remember, the higher up the fader is, the more control you have of the dBs. The lower you get down here, if you do one move, it's not 1 dB anymore. It's a few dBs together. Up here, you're moving 1 dB at a time, which is nice. So I'll bring the output down.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight?
So that sounds good. Here it is without it.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing?
On.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing?
It's one thing I love about the NLS plugin. While you drive it, excuse me, um, it does sound louder, but it's really not increasing a lot of the gain over here. So yes, you can decrease the gain, but I like what it's doing right now in terms of the actual character of the vocal. I'm gonna move on to EQ now, and I'm not gonna do EQ or compression on the track itself. I'm actually gonna do it on the on the stem. I'm gonna go actually and do it directly from the vocal. Okay. So one thing you could do, for example, here lead stem. I want to check, make sure this is going to the right place. Um, so immediately this is showing me all of these are going here. See how it highlighted it? It's pretty neat.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't?
The waves, Renaissance EQ, REQ6. I really like this one. First thing I'm going to do is do a high pass filter and a low pass filter. The high pass filter is going to help me get rid of the AC, fans, low end rumble noise, a motorcycle passing by, in just a lively room.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song?
That's good. Then I'll do the low pass.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song?
Man, my Pro Tools is low. Give me 1 second, guys. I had GarageBand on. Good GarageBand. Let's see what's happening now. Maybe it was that. I don't know.
Who are we to say?
Still slow for some reason. Okay. I don't know why it's acting like that, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. So now I'm going to check the low mids, and I just pick up the band here, and I'm going to sweep the frequency. Oh, yeah, wrong band. I'm just trying to find the right cue for me. Yeah, that's good.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his? Who are we to say he's wrong? Who are we to say he's wrong?
Doesn't have to be too fancy. I think that sounds good already.
Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song, then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song, then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song, then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong?
Now on to compression. This is my favorite vocal compressor. First thing I do on the CLA is take off the noise or the analog noise, and I like to use the bluey version. The threshold on the CLA 76 is here, and the input knob does this. So it goes past the threshold. And this is how you can tell if you did some good gain staging. Remember I was talking about minus 18 dBFS? Most of these are calibrated at 0 VU, minus 18 dBFS. So anything above that is going to make it sound louder because now you're sending more signal to it.
Who are we to say he's wrong?
What I said. Bypassed.
Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song. Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song.
So you notice what happened there. It got really loud. Because the track was a little hot, if you look at the pre-fader level, options, go to pre-fader, look at the meter.
Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around.
For those of you that like to record really loud, see how this seems low here, but it's really loud. It's too hot right now.
Who are we to say he's wrong?
I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna bring it down to a better level so you could see just this part.
Who are we to say? Who are we to say he's wrong?
Look now.
If he ain't around.
Look now.
Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song.
Okay, sounds better. But that's why your gain staging is important. When you record, don't record them too loud. Just make sure it's right around the green area.
Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song, then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song, then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song, then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song, then who's gonna rock this town tonight?
So basically, I'm playing with the actual compression that it's doing and the release. The release is the time it takes for the needle to get back to zero, or for the compression to stop and then start again.
Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song, then who's gonna rock this town tonight?
It's not too complicated. There's so many videos that you can watch about what formulas, what techniques. Just play with it, learn the basics about it. Doesn't have to be all complicated. Use your ears for the main part. I'm done with this. I don't need anything else in this vocal other than the little EQ and the little compression. So this is what it sounds like without the tape, without the EQ and the compression.
Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing it.
With it.
Who are we to say he's wrong? If he ain't around to sing his song, then who's gonna rock this town? are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight?
All right, so I'm gonna do a delay, and before you were watching, I set up 3 tracks, a reverb here, um, a vocal verb, a delay, and another delay. I used true verb for the first track, and I inserted it, and I used a large concert a, preset. On reverbs, typically you can use the preset. If it gets crazy, then you could modify it. But I put an EQ before the reverb, and what that does is it helps me. Sometimes plugins can add a bit of unwanted frequencies to your take, to your vocal, to your guitar. For example, there was another plugin that I found out that was adding upper mids to my mix, and I couldn't realize why that was happening until somebody pointed it out to me. So what I do on the EQs for EQing the reverbs or the effects, I do a high pass and a low pass. Gets rid of all the high end, gets rid of all the low end. And you can make it sound warmer if you want using the EQ, using the low pass. So I'm going to send the vocal to Buzz, what was it called? V Reverb. There we go. There. So now this vocal is going into this vocal reverb track.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town?
Okay, I'm going to use the EQ to kind of shape up the sound, the tone of the reverb.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight?
So the EQ makes a big difference if you put it before the actual effects.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around?
Sounds a bit dark right now, but I'm going to leave it like that, and I'll come back to it. Do I really need delay? Maybe not. I'm going to try it. I already have a delay auxiliary set up. I did the H delay.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing it?
For this delay, I'm using a H delay from Waves, and I've got it set up on milliseconds. And I have the delay set up at 305 milliseconds. Or microseconds, sorry. And then I have the feedback set up here. Have a bit of a high pass put on it and a bit of a low pass, just to, again, make it a bit darker.
Who are we to say?
This is what it sounds like together with the reverb.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song?
All right, so now the vocal, it's dark or warm, but it's really not blending well with the rest of the mix at the moment.
Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say he's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town
All right, this is what it sounds like. Not processed, no effects.
Who are we to say it's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say it's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we to say it's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight? Who are we? Who are we to say it's wrong if he ain't around to sing his song? Then who's gonna rock this town tonight?
All right, as I progress with the mix, I'm going to go back to the vocal later and work a little bit on it some more so I can get it to blend a bit better in the mix. Okay, thank you for watching.